Tonight we're fortunate enough to have from Case Elementary School, Ms. Alexis Marr. She is a 5th grade student at Case Elementary, where she has been a student since 2nd grade. Before attending Case Elementary, she and her family lived in Hawaii, where she started school. We'll ask her later, Mom. We're glad you're here about Hawaii. Her favorite subject is math and has been since kindergarten. Since the 3rd grade, Alexis has been on the honor roll for several grading periods and even received all A's on an interim report in the 4th grade. Alexis is a Girl Scout and her mother is the leader of her troop. Her favorite part of being a Girl Scout is that she is able to earn badges and hang out with friends that she doesn't see very often. Her other hobby is dancing. She likes to learn new dances in the privacy of her home and then amaze those who are watching when one of her favorite songs come on. Me too. Alexis, would you please come forward and do the pledge with us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was about to say, no. Alexis, did you bring anyone special with us today that you'd like to point out?
I brought my mom.
Anybody else? I see someone else sitting over there that's really important.
Miss Henderson.
Thank you for bringing her. Thanks for coming. And we know with all that you have to do and with Girl Scouts and everything that you're a very busy young lady, so please don't feel like you have to stick around and listen to us all night. So, thank you very much. All right, community and school reflections. Who'd like to begin?
And it's very fitting at the end of the year, but I looked at all the things I attended and the things I did, and obviously the major theme was scholarship. And just all of our amazing students started off on the Tuesday night after our last meeting. I attended the PTA scholarship night at Garfield. And just an amazing array of kids and the things they did. It was fabulous. And then the next day I attended the Urban League Scholarship Luncheon and again saw many of our students represented at the Scholarship Luncheon. So they're doing us proud. But the most interesting thing that happened to me is at the time it was completely unrelated. This Saturday I was down in Columbus for an Optimist convention, and we had the essay contest winners, the oratorical, and the closed caption hard of hearing. And the essay winner was from Akron Early College. So he won a $3,500 scholarship for the essay he wrote, and it was just very nice to meet him. He sat at our table and was able to actually explain an awful lot about the Akron Public Schools and the early college to many people who were not aware. They kept mixing it up with the STEM, and they kept thinking it wasn't, and they couldn't believe that he was earning college credit. So even on his own, he was doing a great PR job for the Akron Public Schools while he was there. So it was Gavin, Gavin Damali from Akron Early College. So I told him I'd see him again on Thursday night at graduation, but he also, that was one of many scholarships he'd received, very luckily, and he'll be attending the University of Akron. And I did go to the OSBA board leadership out in Columbus the week before, so I spent a lot of time in Columbus in the last 2 weekends. But again, very informative and in a lot of different subjects. Obviously, one we've talked about before, but was the opioid epidemic, and it's just so sad to see and hear what's going on with that and how prevalent it's become. And I won the LBJ Foundation Hometown Hall. So again, that was another scholarship opportunity. So everything kind of tied around the scholarship.
That's great. Anyone else? Ms. Banks?
I had the great pleasure, I know Reverend Walker came one of the days too, to get to roll out one of the first balls for the SPED tournament. They have a bowling tournament every year at Riviera Lanes out in Fairlawn. And such a group of exuberant staff and students I've never seen, and this year was exceptional. Help me, Karen. The young man's name Daniel. Is it Daniel? That's in. Yes. Dan Heidelman. Real tall, very tall. You can find him very easy amongst the staff out there. But he couldn't be more excited for the students. He couldn't be more appreciative of the staff. And all he wants to do is have them recognized. I don't know that I've met a man with a bigger heart. And it was just an incredible experience. The kids were cheering and rooting for me, especially the first day when it was the elementary kids, that you could do it, you could do it. They were so excited. And then the second day when we were there for the secondary kids, I got to stand with some of the kids that were North Viking. So they really thought it was awesome that I was a North Viking too. So that's just a wonderful event. If you ever are having a tough May, that is one for board members to definitely try to get to, even though you have to put on those bowling shoes and do that. The first day I left two standing. By the way, the bumpers were up. I didn't use them, but they were up, so it gives you greater confidence. And the second day, I think I left one, but the kids were bowling strikes though, so that's all that really matters. And along with Mr. Miller, Mr. Pendleton, and Mr. James, I got to attend the Children's Services Community Recognition Breakfast, where Akron Public Schools was recognized as a community partner. And that was wonderful. Oh, there's our own. I've stolen the superintendent's thunder. But that was wonderful. And again, one of those times where you sit there and you listen to some of the things that other people in our community are doing and think, what am I doing? I need to sleep less or something, because there are people in this community who are doing amazing things. And the folks that were recognized at that would be some of them. Also enjoyed the PTA Scholarship Night. It's the great kickoff to the wonderful role that is getting to see these seniors who've come through our district and are going off to do great things. I see a couple faces I recognize from that, and I'm looking forward to the next month.
Well, I attended the Board Leadership Institute as well with Mr. Walsh, and shared in a couple of their workshops. One was strength-based leadership and student success, and the emphasis there was key in on the strength of the students, emphasize the positive about their strengths and how they're able to succeed. And the other was school finance, answer for board members, and looking at how we can finance our schools. And of course, for us here in Ohio, we primarily finance our schools through property taxes. And then the third workshop was the adolescent brain and the clinical significance and current management for the student athlete, parents, and school districts. And there was a consultant from Cleveland Clinic who talked about finding ways to protect our children, and as they participate in athletics with helmets, proper way to learn how to tackle, learn how to approach persons and the various activities, so that we won't have a lot of the issues that we see in the professional arena, particularly the emphasis on professional football, when there's a movie that was made and other things about the brain damage. So I think that was a very good program. And then I got a chance to participate and we'll say more about this, the Ford Next Generation Learning. We had community members, partners who came to share with us as we are going to roll out some of the things that we want to do as it relates to Academy, but the emphasis there was our partnerships, how we can get involved in a variety of areas so our students would be able to learn how to use those skills and almost immediately apply them to some job situations in the near future. So I'm sure Superintendent will be saying more about that, and we'll be saying more about that. Mr. Miller is part of that committee. And then I represent the board on the Ohio School Board's Northeast Regional Executive Committee, and we had a meeting most recently. And I know our representative manager will be speaking in a few moments, but we want to emphasize that we have a spring conference that had passed, and then we have a fall conference. The fall conference will be closer to us in Wadsworth, October 5th, 2016. So hopefully we will want to participate in that and share in that, and I'm sure we'll get more information as well as even proposed speakers that we might be having. And have next to me, part of our discussion was to participate in the Lake County Captain's Classic Baseball, which will be sponsored by the Northeast Ohio School Board Association. And Mr. Reno does have tickets available for those who would want to go and share. And that's going to be in August 6th, 2016, a Saturday evening at 7 p.m. The Lake County Captains versus the Dayton Dragons. So we'll be saying more about that. And to encourage our students, as we have in the past, to participate in the Student Achievement Fair. So we'll look forward to those activities that we have. I think those are some of the things I did.
Did want to say a couple things about the LeBron James Family Foundation and the picnic they had in Ellet. A few of us were there, and one thing that stuck out, it was meant to be an informational session on the scholarships at the University of Akron. It was themed around We Are Zips, with all the kids that are part of that class in the Ellet cluster. And one thing that sticks out in my mind that they said, sticks out above everything else, when they were answering questions about what it was going to take for the kids that are part of that program to get a scholarship from the University of Akron, they said it's not necessarily geared just at grades. They are also going to look at community service, and the service not only of the students but of the family. That's going to be one of the criteria. So that's something that just goes to my heart as far as trying to get that kind of mindset instilled in our community as far as community service, and that's something they talked about that evening. Did want to say a couple things about the Ford Next Generation Learning meeting that we had here. Superintendent was there. Like Reverend Walker said, we had different nonprofits from the community. We had Connexus at the table, Summit Education Initiative, the Greater Akron Chamber was here. We had Stark State here. We had the University of Akron here, plus a lot of the private industry here, talking about how we need their input into the help working with the Ford Next Generation learning team that was in town here. I believe we had 4 representatives from Ford here as well that morning. One thing that stands out in that meeting to me as well, and please somebody correct me if I got this wrong, Ellen's not here, but I think Ellen was the one that said this, we have roughly 48%, high 40s of our students already in career ed. And of those students, up towards 96% of those kids graduate from high school. And those statistics bear out through the state of Ohio as well. And when I look at that and we say 75% of our kids graduate from high school, well, if 50% of our kids are graduating at a 96% clip, then we have 50% of our kids graduating at a 55% clip. And I think in my mind, that's why it's important for this next generation, this academy model to move forward, because it's more for the children to explore an interest that's going to keep them in school and hopefully graduate. Because one thing we've learned about going to Nashville, attendance rates go up greatly when these kids find a passion and a reason to get to school. So that's, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, I guess, and I'm saying that in a good manner. I think it's a great way for us to just continue to do what we're here to do and get kids graduated from high school. So thank you.
Anyone else?
And I did participate in the bowling, and I left one pin standing.
All right. I have just a couple of quick things. I too attended the Akron Council of PTA Scholarship Night. Just to echo what Ms. Mansfield said, great kickoff to the whole graduation season and all of the successes and achievements of really all of our students, and the dollar amount that our children earn in scholarships throughout this season is just phenomenal, and really shows the caliber of our schools and shows the caliber of our staff and certainly of our students. So it was a really great night to be out and be part of that. And then, like Ms. Walsh said, being at the Urban League the next day, we saw some of the very same students that were, receiving scholarships from their various PTAs the night before, out receiving scholarships at the Urban League, and we just see a lot of, these students are really putting themselves out there, and it's just a real testament to their dedication and to what they're doing, and to try and to really make something of themselves, so it's really impressive. I had an opportunity to go to Race for Case this past weekend. I did not, but Mr. Pendleton did. Did you do well?
I did okay. I did the whole family out.
Had the whole family out. I believe it was your dad and your daughter, their first time running, so really great event. I think probably another record number of people signed up for that event. Another school that, with an active PTA that's doing something and we love all of our PTAs and everything that they do to bring things to the schools that sometimes that we can't. Mr. James was there as well, though he did not run. I tried to get him to, but he would not. And we have a lot more coming up, so we're entering the graduation season, and that's really exciting. More scholarships, more luncheons, more chicken dinners. Mending Hearts and Minds breakfast is this week, and I know some of us will be at that, at the APS table. If you're not, please let someone know, because I think we do have a table. So that's for Child Guidance and Family Solutions, so if you can attend that, that'd be great. Any more community and school reflections before we move on?
Do you know what time that breakfast is? I have it on my calendar.
I'm sorry, it's a luncheon. It's 11:30 to 1.
I was going to say, I had a luncheon already down, I was hoping.
Yeah. Staff over there were turning in their chairs. Yeah, 11:30 to 1.
11:30.
All right, if not, we do have a request to address the board. Ms. Autry. And I know you're familiar with the process. We have 3 minutes. I believe Mr. Pendleton will keep the time. We don't typically respond at the board meeting, as you know, but we'll get back to you through the superintendent and if there's any follow-up. And thanks for coming out. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Greetings on behalf of the Bookville PTA. I am here as Bookville faces yet another major transition and yet another vulnerable moment. In my 10 years on this PTA board, this is the 3rd time in which the head principal position is open. Our PTA and volunteers have been a stable support through the many ups and downs. And we have a core of dedicated staff and coaches who have also played a major role in providing consistency and building positive relationships with students, families, and community. The village I just named have a vested interest in Bookville's success. We are a focused school, barely 1 year out of emergency status. Those who have been on the ground every day have valuable insight to be considered when it comes to the future leadership of Bookville. What looks good on paper may not necessarily mesh with the building culture and needs. APS policy and bylaws indicate that parent, family, and community engagement is a value in this district. We are not spectators. We are partners. When New Tech was selected for Bookto, administrators, parents, and students were on the interview panels for our valuable input to ensure that staff at Bookto truly wanted to be there. For some reason, that process stopped. We, meaning the active PTA, the BLT, and students, would like to meet with all applicants being considered for the open position of head principal at Bookto at a meeting that we are willing to organize. Anyone who wants to lead Bookto should be willing to meet with us. And I leave you once again with a statement that I left you with the last time I addressed this school board. Please do not make decisions about us without us. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we're going to move forward to communications and recognitions. The first thing that we have tonight, as many of you know, we lost someone very important in the community recently, Mr. Robert J. Otterman, father of one of our school board members and a long-standing member in this community. And tonight we'd like to honor him with a resolution in honor of his dedicated and exemplary career of public service. So I'd like to read this tonight, and I'd like to present it to Mr. John Otterman, our fellow school board member. Whereas Robert J. Otterman devoted more than 30 years to working with and educating children in the Akron Public Schools. And whereas Mr. Otterman's educational career began at Central High School in February 1960, teaching social studies, civics, and sociology, and then as a counselor at South High School from 1973 through 1979, and then as a counselor at Ellet High School until his time of retirement in 1991. And whereas Mr. Otterman also devoted the same number of years to serving the entire community as a ward councilman, an at-large councilman for Akron City Council, and as a state representative in Columbus. And whereas before becoming an educator, Mr. Otterman also served his country, having joined the U.S. Marine Corps, serving in Korea, receiving the Purple Heart, and becoming a member of the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Akron City School District that the Board of Education offers their deepest appreciation for the service of Robert J. Otterman to our children, our communities, and our country. And that members of the Akron School Board offer their condolences to the family of Robert J. Otterman, and especially to his son, John Otterman, current member of the Akron Board of Education. Dated this day, May 9th, 2016. Mr. Otterman, our sincere condolences and appreciation.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to say, Pat, on behalf of the family, to everybody, appreciate all the calls, cards, and support that my father had for all his years of teaching in public office, and especially as he became ill. And we're just very grateful to have had him for the time we had him, and just grateful for all your prayers. Thank you.
Need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor, roll call please.
Mr. Bravo.
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Robert.
Yes.
Reverend Walker.
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
Thank you. And now we're going to move forward to recognition of the 2015-2016 Superintendent Student Seminar participants, Mr. James and Ms. Sibley.
Every year we select 2 students from each of our high schools to participate in what we call the Superintendent Seminar, which was started before I became superintendent. But we have these young ladies and gentlemen go to different venues in the city of Akron, learn more about some of the partnerships that we have, and I'm sure Carla can do it more justice than I can. And then I meet with them as well during the year. And I would probably say this year's group has been a lot more animated than the groups in the past, and they've challenged me on a couple of things. So I can say this year, my graduation message is gonna be positive, because I know I'm always talking about you need to do this and you need to do that. So I'm gonna take a little different, a different track this year when I give my speeches at your respective graduation. So tonight we're here to recognize each of the recipients, and they'll get this, you know, very expensive, whatever you call it, thingamajigger, yes, in recognition of your time that you've spent with us this year. So we have a couple who couldn't make it because it is a busy time of the year, but the first one who is here from East High School, Alexis Howard.
Oh my God.
Okay, one more time. Okay.
Thank you. Rachel Batten from Ellen. Rachel, not okay. Then we have Taylor Wilfong from Ellen. Okay, Jacob Allred from Firestone. All right, thank you. Madison Conley. Who's next? Corinthia McGinty. Thank you.
Hold on one second, something just happened that doesn't look right at all.
Thought you charged your batteries.
Okay.
Put your finger. Stefan Richardson.
Corinthia will be accepting on behalf of Stefan.
Thank you. All right, Acacia Sherman.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Sue Miat A. Okay, Manita Biswa. Let's see who's, oh, I need a loan from her, Maya Frazier, because she's picked up some scholarships. And Rayshawn Hughes. All right, is that it? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think
Congratulations to all of you. As we move into the next one, I did want to take a second also to recognize our friend Veronica Sims, former school board member and current Akron City Council at-large member, whose contributions also sort of, will flow right into the next recognition. So from the Ohio School Boards Association, we have an awards presentation, Mr. Reno Contepelli from the OSBA Northeast Region.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Northeast region consists of 19 counties and 225 schools. And last year at the fall conference, we honored this school board, the Akron School Board, as the most outstanding school board in the Northeast region. And it doesn't take long for the half hour I was sitting there to see the teamwork and the sharing of information and all that they do for the Akron children. The basis of the award is school boards that are so involved in their community but also work together as a team and who are involved locally, statewide, and nationally. And of course, the Akron school boards fit the criteria, which my good colleague over there, Veronica Sims, was part of last year. And Veronica was part of the OSBA leadership team for years and last year too, so I do want to congratulate her too. This year, just to piggyback on what Mr. Walker said, the August 6th baseball game is a fundraiser we have for the Lester Harrison Scholarship. We did have 2 Akron children apply for it this year, so we will know the results until the summer who actually gets that award. So thank you to those guidance counselors and principals to get that information out. Fall conference is October 5th. In Wadsworth. This is the first year we are going to honor School of Promises, and I do believe, I just saw hot off the press, that Akron has 4. And so congratulations to the Akron schools for having 4 School of Promises this year. But the reason I'm here is that last year, out of over 1,100 school board members, we had 4 outstanding school board members that were honored at the fall conference for their hard work on a local, state, and national level, and who were also nominated by their peers. One in this room, Reverend Walker. If I went into his resume of all he does, we wouldn't get out here till 9 o'clock tonight. But I think Akron knows what he does for the children of Akron, and what he does for the Ohio School Board Association, and what he does for all children in the state of Ohio, and how involved that he is on a national level, statewide level, local level. And to be nominated by his peers is an honor. But I do have the plaque that I promised him right here. So it's our way of honoring him as part of the Northeast Executive Committee as being one of our most outstanding school board members. So congratulations, Reverend Walker. Here, I got my camera full. I got a newsletter goes out. I can get the picture. Get the picture? Okay.
I think we also want to just point out that Reverend Walker also recently completed for the Ohio School Boards Association all of the requirements to complete the Board Leadership Institute. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just a note to our fellow students that are sitting here, we will not think it rude if you have other things to do and you'd like to go. We don't want to keep you. We know you're all busy. So feel...
I didn't know if you wanted to acknowledge, but this was the first graduating student of STEM high school.
That's right.
And so...
Congratulations on that. We'll see you soon as well. So. All right, and while they're clearing the room, we'll move forward with the business portion of the meeting. We have the approval of the meeting minutes, special meeting minutes from April 18th, 2016, and regular meeting minutes from April 25th, 2016. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If none, roll call, please. Mr.
Mr. Bravo.
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Otterman.
Yes.
Reverend Walker.
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
Great. Personnel recommendations.
Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 31 personnel recommendations. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes, abstaining from items 26 and 27.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, abstaining from number 28 and 29.
Mr. Otterman.
Yes.
Yes. No, I thought you were asking me to abstain from something.
Sorry.
There was nothing. No. I'm
Reverend
sorry.
Walker.
Yes. Abstaining from item 30.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Bravo.
Yes, abstaining from items 24 and 25. All right, and the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 3 motions and 6 resolutions on the consent agenda. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Otterman.
Yes.
Reverend Walker.
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Bravo.
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes.
Business affairs.
And finally, Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 20 business affairs recommendations. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
Can I just ask a quick question about item 18, just because it sounds amazing and really fun? Can anyone tell us a little bit about what the students will be doing with Stan Hewitt Hall and Gardens this summer? Just sounds good.
Sure. One of the goals of the foundation through their map in terms of experiences that students should have is to be able to have them go through, along with their families, to Stan Hewitt and Hall and Gardens and learn more about the history around, Stan Hewitt and some of the early history of, the Industrial Revolution here in Akron.
So will they be given like a season pass, or will they all go at once, or do you know?
That one I'm not sure about, but I do know that we'll have those students and their families the opportunity to go through on the guided tours of the, of the museum and the grounds.
Nice.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Otterman.
Yes.
Reverend Walker.
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Bravo.
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Superintendent's report.
I have no report this evening, but I will have some items under new business.
No president's report tonight. Treasurer's report.
No report tonight.
Committee reports. Legal contracts and board policy.
We presenting for the second of 3 readings are the new sick leave policy.
Policy 3432. Got it. Finance and Capital Management Committee.
No report.
None. And Instructional Policy and Student Achievement Committee.
I think most of our report we gave early on when we talked about the Ford Next Generation and what we were doing with that and our business connections and how well the meeting was attended. I think we had everyone there except for one person that was that we invited. And so I think it was a good turnout, and there's additional, at least 4 or 5 additional people that we're going to be inviting later on for what other meetings that we have.
Great, thank you. Ms. Walsh, did you have?
At one point, and I wasn't sure when I asked the question, at one point we were talking about doing the code of student behavior. Was that the reason that wasn't on? from our policy committee meeting, we thought this was going to be presented today, so I...
It's not a policy. Right.
Okay.
Those are under what our administrative guidelines, and we're changing, we're really not changing the code, we're adding additional definitions to it because the way that it's defined now, there are items that we have to report to the Office of Civil Rights and the Ohio Department of Education regarding discipline, and our current code is skewing some of our results. So we made some changes to make that reporting, which is required by law, to go smoothly, and we also reviewed those changes with the association.
Oh, perfect. No,
And if I'm not mistaken, in some, you will get familiar from the committee, but in some cases, some more serious offenses are included with lesser
Yes.
offenses, so if you report
Right,
the
and
lesser
it-
offenses.
Exactly.
it looks like...
Right.
No, and from our meeting, it was a good thing. I just didn't understand.
Yes.
Wasn't sure why but that explains why we didn't have to discuss it, so I apologize.
That's a good question. No,
Can I just ask one quick question about
Sure.
that? You said that, so we were able to go back and explain,
Well,
were we able to go fix any past years, or?
No, this is moving forward. I'll have Dan Rambler address that.
I'm sorry, Ms. Mansfield, could you ask that again?
I was just asking, was there anything, for example, if something was a lesser offense and it was getting bumped up to that higher offense, were we able to go back and clarify that in any way? Like, did it get an asterisk? Anything that was?
With this year's data, we're working with Howard and the tech department after it's resolved that after it's determined that we have the new code in place, then we're going to go back and look at every infraction that occurred throughout the year and mitigate it to the new code so we can have appropriate data reporting, because if we report it right now, we're over-representing our data.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Good question. Any other questions or discussion on the legal and work contract? If not, do we have any unfinished business? Hearing none, we have a number of items under new business, so we'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Yes, Mr. President, a couple of potential partnerships I would like to bring to the board's attention this evening. One is Bookto High School. We have some staff members here who coerced me into agreeing to propose that we do a walking path on the front grounds of Bookto, and I believe there's some support from Summit County Public Health on this as some other funders. I would recommend approval of that. We'll work with the group of teachers and staff at Bookto with our facilities department to make sure, everything's done to APS standards. And then when the funding comes in, of course, that will come to board for approval for the particular project.
Would someone want to tell us a little bit about the walking path or how it got started?
Sure, I'd love to talk about the walking path. Would you like me to come up or should I stand here? Awesome.
Thank you. She's short, but she's mighty.
I know, right? So thank you so much, Superintendent and Board, for hearing about this. We're all really excited about it. We've got some really great community members, the Summit County Public Health Department. I myself work for Ohio Guidestone. I'm on the board for Gardeners of Greater Akron. Summit County Community Partnership is also on board, as well as Major Hospital Systems, DC3 Velocity, and several other community members. And we're willing to aid in contributing to making this happen, our time, our resources. And we also have some amazing grants that have come in, one of which is from the Creating Healthy Communities program, and the other one is from the GAR Foundation. So they actually already did a walking trail in Springfield, and we've brought some pictures in case you guys wanted to take a look. Also, just to mention that our students are participating in these programs. We have gardening programs running through some of the feeder schools. So to be able to carry it through the high school and provide that alternative activity, we believe will have a positive impact on the community. It is actually also a CSAP strategy, if you're a preventionist, by the way. And we're really excited about the great programming that this will bring for the students. So I have pictures for you and also some prevention bands that the kids at Bookville High School created. Griffins Fly Above. It's meant to symbolize flying above the negative influences, and it's programs like these that allow them the opportunities to do that. Thank you so much. Do you want to take a look at these pictures? And I have some really awesome bands that they designed that are just so cute.
Great, well, thank you. Do you need these back?
Do you? Okay, great. Yeah, you can
Thank
keep
you.
those.
Did you want to talk about the athletic person, the designer?
Oh, yeah, sure, I can do that. Let's try to go back up here. Here's also a copy, too, of the grant, if you'd like to see it as well, one of them. Yes, so obviously, we are not going to put anything in front of the school that would be unsafe or wouldn't meet the standards of the city and the Akron Public School District. So DC Velocity 3, and the person who's assisting us from that organization is Brian Williams, and that's that gentleman. And he helped design a playground with the Cleveland Browns a couple years ago. He's licensed and bonded in what he does. We're working with several community partners in order to come up with an appropriate design and plan, and we're actually in process of doing that now. And once it is, we'll definitely get it approved through all of the appropriate sources. We want to make sure that this is safe for the children.
And what would the distance be on the walking trail? Do you have a distance walking trail?
It's basically by the numbers. So if you look at the diagram there, we're not touching the practice field. We know that's very important for our athletes. So this.
No, I mean just walking it. What would your distance
probably
would be?
a quarter mile.
Quarter mile. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
So what we would be looking for is a motion in support of and authorizing the superintendent to work with this program.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Morado?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Otterman?
Yes.
Reverend Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Good. Thank you again for coming in. Great.
Next, Mr. President, I just wanted to let you and the board know that at the next board meeting, we'll have the certification for our Innovation Generation Scholarship available. I'll be meeting with Nathan Mortimer from University of Akron next week to review those numbers and then prepare a resolution to certify the number of students and the amounts that were spent for both the spring and fall 2015 IGS program. The next item is another group at Firestone, which are the track, soccer, and football boosters approached us. You know, as part of the project, we just put in basic multi-purpose field to replace what was removed, because the current Firestone is actually built on top of the former field. So we don't put in sod, we don't put in the all-weather track, everything is just the same thing that, you know, was replaced. But the boosters have a project where they are going to try and raise, I think, in excess of $1.3 million to upgrade those facilities after they're constructed. Now, this is going to take some time, because as we move Litchfield and Firestone into the new building, the old Firestone has to be demolished, and that's where we'll put in just a basic grassy surface. They have plans, if they raise the money, to upgrade those. So I'll keep you posted as they are out in the community trying to raise funds for that.
And they'll work through the treasurer's office to do all of that with their new processes, right? So anything that they put into the field would go through you?
Yes, any of the purchases through the school district.
All right, any questions on that? And then the last one is a resolution opposing the Child Nutrition Act reauthorization. I know there are some issues in there, and I believe Reverend Walker can address those.
Well, I would like to, if the president doesn't mind, have Veronica Sims, who brought that to my attention. The city council has already adopted a resolution. They will do that tonight. And so we wanted to also be in sync with our partners in opposing the Child Nutrition Act reauthorization, which has some problem in it. So if you want to speak to that for a moment.
Well, we don't necessarily oppose the act. We oppose the stringent requirements they're trying to add to the act that adds additional obstacles to a program that our kids need. I mean, we know that educational outcomes are improved when kids have good meals. And even when we look at how many children we know go home on the weekend who don't have food, let alone the tax it'll put on even our summer feeding program. And so we don't want additional obstacles. We want our kids to have access to one of the most basic fundamental needs, and that's to have food.
Doesn't this impose some requirements for income verification and things
Yes,
like that?
it's additional income verifications. It's almost like you might as well just put a scarlet letter on and say, you know, carry this letter with you and then you can eat, you know. So it's just not right.
It says that the Act opposes the Child Nutrition Act reauthorization and the weakening of the community eligibility program, and that the Akron Board of Education opposes any additional obstacles put in place, i.e. increased verification requirements that could potentially keep our children from having one of the most fundamental human needs from being met. And of course, as already emphasized, we've got backpack programs, we have faith-based communities that are in partnership with us to make sure our children eat during the week as well as the weekend, and anything that would take away from our children have access to food, that we don't want to water anything down.
Any questions, comments, other concerns?
Question, so Veronica, this is over verification then? Is that the language is being opposed then? Just they're asking for additional verification?
That was just an example of some of the additional requirements that they're asking.
That's a main sticking point.
For us, you know, we're a little different. I think all of our elementary students have, is that free?
Every child in every school.
Don't stand right there and tell them, you know I got it wrong.
What is coming out of the Reauthorization Act is a change in how you qualify for the CEP program. Currently, any school or school district that has 40% of their students qualifying for free meals could be accepted into the program. It has been so successful, I think it has overburdened the USDA with the amount of funding that is being paid to support this program. So the new Authorization Act would make that change to CEP that you would not be eligible to be part of this program unless you had 60% or more of your students as eligible for free meals. How that would affect us directly is, and this is as simple as it gets, our elementaries would qualify, our middle schools and high schools would not. So therefore, we would have to go back to meal applications for middle school and high school students. And therefore, those that would be eligible by income verification on a meal app could be free or reduced, but then some of those students would then be paid. The other part of the act is, if you remember a number of years ago, we had to adjust the paid meal in order to meet the cost effectiveness of what they felt you should equity between what you were purchasing and what you were actually feeding. This would also take that away. So this would not allow any federal subsidy of any child that could qualify for a paid meal. It's just in the proposal stages at this point because the reauthorization will not be fully implemented or voted on probably until at least the end of the current fiscal year at the federal level, which is probably in September. I don't know how fast it will, then be implemented should it pass. Now, to be honest with you, we are at the end of our current CEP program as of June 30th, so we're in the process of applying for another 4 years, base year plus 3. If accepted, I do not know that they would take us out of it, but it's just one of those things that came to light, and we don't want to impact the ability of us to be an effective food program for our students. So it's just a way of allowing you to say that you don't want to lose that ability to do so. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you come to council this evening?
Yes, we need a motion unless they, did you have something?
Well, no, I just don't, I guess, my question would be after we have a motion, I guess, but I basically understand, I think, what you're saying, but
Okay.
what happens, it turns out, if they don't reauthorize it,
Well, let's put it this way.
I realize we're trying to make it change it, but what happens if it just doesn't?
They can't not reauthorize the act because in general, just like you have the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, this is the necessary federal law that goes forward. This is the tweaks that come out of it. So as an example, you saw when we went to the No Child Left Hungry Act and the changes that it made to the menus and et cetera. But as I said, this has been so successful. But there's other implications to CEP, which Treasurer Pendleton and I have been working on with ODE regarding how does it affect other programs such as E-rate and Title I funding. They just never truly understood what would happen when a whole district would be under this program declared as socioeconomically disadvantaged. So this is them now rethinking some of the way that they put this together. I don't know that it will, the outcry could be so substantial that they'll back off on it, or they may tweak it and maybe they won't go to 60%, but they could go to 50%. Because right now the summer feeding is at 50%. So why make CEP, which is your school year program, higher than your summer feeding? So it's just the way of them doing this, and this happens every 5 years when they do this. Okay? Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, we're looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept this resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Otterman?
Yes.
Reverend Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh? Mr. Crowell?
Yes. Brings the end to the new business, no need for executive tonight. So with that, can I have a motion for adjournment?
For adjournment?
Did you miss that? I missed it.
So moved that.
We have a motion and a second.
Debbie Walsh. You want to stay? Ms. Walsh? Mr. Brown?